What if I told you that right now, an artificial intelligence looking at absolute nothing but your heart rate, your past browser history, your social media habits, and, well, the unhealed emotional residue of your childhood? What if I told you it could predict the exact choice you're about to make with 92.4% accuracy?
I mean, it is a truly terrifying premise to start with, isn't it?
It really is. Because, we desperately cling to this idea of authorship. You think you chose to listen to this deep dive today.
Right. The notion that we are independent novelists, like we're sitting at a desk, picking up a pen, and consciously directing the entire narrative of our existence.
Yeah, but if the data hold up, and more importantly, if the fundamental physics hold up, you might just be running a script.
Exactly. Because when you apply rigorous analytical models to human behavior, and when you drill down into the absolute foundational physics of reality itself, that comforting illusion of the independent novelist, it starts to dissolve almost immediately.
And that profound, somewhat horrifying realization is exactly our mission today. We are taking you, the listener, on a journey straight into the hidden architecture of reality.
We really are peeling back the layers here.
Yeah, because we are going to look at the ultimate question of human choice. We want to know, does physics actually grant you free will? Or is your freedom just, well, an illusion of mathematics?
Right, because historically, classical physics basically told us we were already dead in the water.
Right. You look at Isaac Newton. He gave us a universe that was just a giant, flawless clockwork machine.
And the philosophical implication of a clockwork universe is total, unbreakable determinism.
Which means no choices.
None. In a clockwork machine, every single gear turns only because the gear right next to it forced it to turn.
Right.
There's absolutely no spontaneity.
It's just cause and effect all the way down.
Exactly. If you trace that chain of cause and effect all the way back to the dawn of time, the classical argument is that every single movement, every thought, every historical event, all of it was predetermined by the initial conditions of the universe.
So under classical physics, the choice you made for lunch today was mathematically guaranteed billions of years before the Earth even formed.
Yes. You aren't making a choice.
You're just a biological gear turning because the Big Bang pushed you. I mean, it's a completely suffocating cage.
It is. But then, and this is where everyone usually breathes a massive sigh of relief, the 20th century rolls around.
Right. Quantum mechanics arrives on the scene. And it completely shatters that deterministic clock.
It did. Quantum mechanics introduced this fundamental unpredictability into the physical sciences. It showed us that at the absolute lowest levels of reality, the subatomic level, things do not behave like predictable clockwork gears at all.
Let's make sure we really ground this, though, because people throw the word quantum around to justify almost anything these days.
Oh, absolutely. It becomes a catch-all for magic.
Right. When people look for a loophole for human freedom, they usually point straight to things like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. They point to quantum randomness.
Yes, the general cultural assumption is basically, look, science says the universe is inherently unpredictable and random at the bottom level, therefore the clockwork is broken, therefore I have free will.
But that assumption is exactly what our source material today is going to rigorously dismantle.
It is. We are diving deep into the work of Sandeep Chavan and his incredibly comprehensive framework known as Universal Energy Dynamics, or UED.
And Chavan's core thesis is just a massive paradigm shift.
It really is. He argues that equating quantum randomness with human freedom is a fundamental philosophical error.
Because in standard physics, we haven't actually found freedom, have we?
No. We have simply replaced a mechanical cage with a statistical cage.
I want to stop right there, because that is a massive claim.
Yeah.
So you need to unpack this concept of the statistical cage.
It's the dice problem, essentially.
Right. So if standard quantum mechanics says reality is probabilistic, how is that still a cage? Let's talk about how standard physics actually views the empty vacuum of space.
Well, to understand the UED critique, we first have to look at quantum electrodynamics, or QED. That's the standard model.
Okay, QED.
In standard QED, the vacuum of space is not this quiet, empty void. It is modeled as a violent, turbulent, constantly boiling ocean of energy.
They call them quantum fluctuations, right?
Exactly. Virtual particles are just spontaneously blinking into existence and then annihilating each other constantly everywhere. And standard quantum theory says there is absolutely no underlying reason for this.
It's just random.
Pure, inherent statistical randomness. The universe, at its base, is just a brilliant, ongoing dice throw.
Okay, but hold on. Let's really think about the logic of that for a second. Let's say my brain operates on these quantum principles, And the neurons firing in my head are subject to this underlying randomness.
Okay, track that thought.
If my so-called choice is ultimately just a quantum coin toss firing in my synapses, how on earth is that freedom?
It isn't.
Right. If my decisions are just random dice rolls, I am still not the author of my life. I've just traded being a victim of a predictable machine for being a victim of a cosmic casino.
That is the exact philosophical dead end that Chavan points out. Randomness is the absolute absence of intent.
And free will requires intent.
By its very definition, you cannot build a purposeful, self-determined, sovereign life out of meaningless statistical noise. If your choices are truly random, they aren't yours.
So this is where UED introduces that radical shift through the concept of the structured vacuum energy.
Yes. The structured vacuum energy, or SVE.
So Chavan is arguing that the vacuum isn't this chaotic boiling soup of random dice rolls.
Precisely. Chavan's framework views the vacuum of space as an highly intelligent, self-regulating energy lattice.
An intelligent lattice.
Yes, it exists in a state of perfect, pregnant equilibrium. What standard quantum mechanics mistakenly identifies as random, meaningless fluctuations are, according to UED, highly precise contextual corrections.
Meaning energy doesn't just pop in and out of reality for no reason.
No, it is responding. It fluctuates specifically to seek balance whenever there is a disturbance in the overall energy field.
I want to make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. So instead of a casino where the dice have no memory and no purpose, it's more like, well, like a massive interconnected ecosystem.
Yeah, think about trying to measure the complex currents of the ocean. If you isolate your vision to a single microscopic drop of water, the movement of that drop is going to look completely erratic, chaotic, and totally random.
Right, because you can't see the whole picture.
Exactly. You will write a mathematical equation saying water moves randomly, but that chaos is just an illusion born from your incredibly narrow perspective.
But if you zoom out,
You see that the drop is actually moving in perfect accordance with the larger structure of the ocean's tide, the gravitational pull of the moon, thermodynamics.
wow. So chaos is just unrecognized structure.
Yeah.
That completely shifts the landscape.
It's formalized in the text as Chavan's law of intelligent fluctuation. It states that statistical randomness in physics is simply an underlying intelligence that our current mathematical models just haven't decoded yet.
The universe does not play dice.
No, it responds to imbalance with perfect economical precision.
And the implication for free will here is profound. Because if the vacuum of space is an intelligent responding structure rather than a random noise generator, it means we cannot hide behind Heisenberg's uncertainty anymore.
Physics, on its own, does not offer a convenient biological loophole for free will. We aren't saved by randomness.
But wait, this creates a massive question. If the universe isn't just randomly rolling dice and everything is this structured, intelligent response to energetic imbalance,
Yeah?
how does reality actually take a solid form?
That is the core mystery, isn't it?
Because right now, you and I are sitting here, and the listener's looking at their hands or their steering wheel or their phone. Reality feels very solid.
Very solid.
So if it isn't random chance collapsing into a solid state, what is your specific role in forming this reality?
Well, to answer that, we have to tackle the most famous and perhaps most misunderstood concept in modern physics, the observer effect.
Right.
To understand UED's view, we have to look at how we transition from the standard idea of collapse to Chavan's concept of crystallization.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because if the universe isn't random, we need to know how we are actively participating in it.
Yeah.
And most people are familiar with the classic thought experiment, Schrodinger's cat.
Right, the cat in the box.
Yeah, the idea is that you put a cat in a sealed steel box with a radioactive atom, a Geiger counter, and a vial of poison. If the atom decays, it triggers the poison, and the cat dies. If it doesn't decay, the cat lives.
And because the decay of the atom is considered a quantum event, standard mechanics says that until you actually open the box and look, the atom is both decayed and not decayed.
Which means the cat is, mathematically speaking, both dead and alive at the exact same time. It exists in a state of superposition.
That's the standard interpretation.
And the story goes that the mere act of a human opening the box and passively looking forces the universe to pick a lane. The wave function collapses, and the cat becomes definitively alive or definitively dead.
And UED offers a very sharp, uncompromising critique of that entire interpretation. Standard quantum mechanics treats the mathematical wave function as if it is physical reality itself.
Like the math is the territory, not just the map.
Exactly. It treats observation as this passive, almost magical trigger. You just happen to open your eyes, light hits your retina, and suddenly reality collapses from infinite possibilities into one solid, mundane fact.
It always felt a bit arrogant to me, honestly, like the entire universe is just waiting around in a blurry fog just for a human being to glance at it.
Chavan argues that the wave function is not reality. It is literally just a mathematical placeholder for our ignorance of the underlying energetic structure.
Probability isn't a physical truth.
No, it is just a map of potential. Which brings us to Chavan's law of realized state. This law states that the observer effect is absolutely not a passive event. And crucially, it does not cause a collapse.
Let's dissect that word collapse. Because when I hear collapse, I think of a building falling down. It implies a failure, a reduction, a loss of something grand and infinite into something small and boring.
Yes, and UED rejects that terminology entirely. Instead, Chavan says reality crystallizes through energetic participation.
Crystallizes. That feels very different.
The shift from collapse to crystallization is a shift from the visual to the energetic. In the UED framework, observation is not just passively absorbing photons. Observation is an active, energetic involvement with a system.
So you do not just watch a choice happen.
No, your very presence, your intent, and your consciousness provide an actual energetic friction that forces a potential state into a realized form.
Okay, let me make sure I'm really grasping the mechanics of this. So I am not just a camera passively recording a scene.
Yeah.
I am more like an active ingredient in a chemical reaction.
That's a great way to look at it.
Let's use the analogy of the candle from the text, because I think it really clarifies the difference between passive collapse and active crystallization. It's like a candle that lights itself.
Go ahead. Break down the mechanics of that analogy.
Well, if you want to light a candle, the act of striking the match isn't a neutral, passive observation.
Yeah.
You don't just look at the match and force it to magically decide if it's on fire or not.
Right.
You actively introduce heat. You introduce the physical friction of the strike, and most importantly, you introduce the human intent to create fire.
Yes.
The observer doesn't just watch reality decide what to be. The observer brings the specific energetic spark that allows the raw potential of the universe to ignite into a crystallized form.
A state becomes real not because we passively look at it, but because we energetically engage with it. That engagement is the absolute cornerstone of UED.
So in this framework, Schrödinger's cat was never both alive and dead in some magical blurry paradox.
Never. The system inside the box was simply holding potential energy configurations, waiting for a participatory energetic event to draw the field toward one solid resolution. Reality isn't revealed by the observer. It is co-authored by the observer's intent.
I mean, this sounds incredibly empowering. It gives us a tremendous sense of agency. It suggests our energetic participation is fundamental to the crystallization of reality itself.
It does.
Like, I am the spark. I am the author. If reality requires my energetic intent to crystallize, then I must have free will.
Right. And this is exactly where the source text takes a very hard, very somber pivot.
Yeah.
Because it is the trap we all fall into. We assume that because we participate, we are free. But Chavan forces us to ask a much more uncomfortable question.
Who's actually doing the participating?
Exactly. Is the you that is providing the intent, the you that is crystallizing the reality, is it you actually free?
And this is where we descend into what the text calls the hidden architecture of control. Because even if I am the one crystallizing reality, if my participation is entirely predictable, if my intent is completely programmed by outside forces, then I am still not free.
No, you're just a very complicated machine that thinks it has a soul.
Which brings us back to that terrifying AI statistic I mentioned in the very beginning.
Yes, let's look closely at that chilling dialogue between Sandeep Chavan and the artificial intelligence.
Right.
The AI calmly states that a human being's future is 92.4% predictable. And it does not need a crystal ball to do this. It calculates this massive probability based on a relentless analysis of past behavior, deep-seated cognitive biases, and what the text calls emotional residue.
92.4%. That is a staggering, suffocating number. Explain to me the mechanics of how an AI arrives there, because, I feel like I make spontaneous choices all the time.
We all do.
I chose to wear this specific shirt today. I chose what I had for breakfast. How does the AI know me better than I know myself?
Because the AI understands that what you proudly call free will or spontaneous choice is very often just a mechanical reaction. It's generated by complex, invisible patterns that you have absolutely no conscious awareness of.
So I feel like I am making a choice, but the AI sees that I'm actually just running on software loops.
Precisely. And the tragedy is we mistake the flawless execution of our internal code for a free and independent thought.
Okay, so how does UED break this down? Because if I'm running on software loops, I need to know the code. I need to know the programming language of my own prison.
UED breaks this deterministic software down into 4 distinct layers of programming. These layers stack on top of each other, creating a dense filter through which you view the world.
Okay, let's go through them.
If we want to understand why our intent is 92.4% predictable, we have to examine these layers. And it starts at the very bottom, with the biological foundation, the biological layer.
The instinctive self.
Yes. The biological layer consists of your hardwired survival defaults. Think about a newborn baby instinctively seeking warmth and a heartbeat. Think about your pupils instantly dilating in fear when you hear a loud, unexpected noise. Or your heart rate spiking and cortisol flooding your system when someone cuts you off in traffic.
These are millions of years of evolutionary code executing perfectly before your conscious mind even has a chance to register the event.
Exactly. It is pure survival mechanics.
If I accidentally touch a hot stove, my hand pulls away before my brain even fully processes the sensation of heat. My nervous system bypassed my conscious free will entirely because it had to protect the organism.
And the AI knows this. It knows your biological imperatives.
But we aren't just animals reacting to hot stoves. I mean, we have culture, we have society.
Which brings us directly to the second layer, built right on top of that biological hardware, the social layer, the taught self.
This is the layer that feels deeply personal, but actually isn't, right?
This is your culture, your traditions, your pursuit of status within a hierarchy. It's the flag you salute, the surname you defend, the specific style of clothes you think is appropriate for a job interview.
It's the script handed to you before you even possess the vocabulary to ask who you are.
From the moment you are born, you are taught what success looks like. You are taught what shame feels like. You are assigned duties you owe to your family, your religion, and your nation.
And you genuinely believe you are making independent career choices or choosing your life partner based on a unique inner compass.
But more often than not, you are largely just fulfilling the parameters of the social algorithm you were born into.
The AI looks at your zip code, your education, and your parents' tax bracket, and it instantly narrows down your probable life choices with terrifying accuracy.
Because the social code is highly predictable.
So my biology keeps me alive, and my social programming keeps me in the herd. But surely my personal feelings, my distinct personality, that has to be free, right?
That is the most insidious trap of all, and it is the third layer, the emotional layer, the reactive self.
This is the layer built by our personal pain, the specific pleasures we chase, and the unresolved trauma we carry. Why does UED say this layer is so insidious?
Because it feels so uniquely, intimately us. Your trauma is yours. Your specific triggers are yours. So when you react from this layer, you feel highly individualized.
Give me an example of how that plays out.
Imagine you react aggressively to a specific tone of voice from your partner, or you shut down completely when you receive a certain type of criticism at work. You tell yourself, I am just setting boundaries. I am using my instinct to protect myself.
But really, you're just reacting to past pain that is dressed up in a new costume.
Exactly. You are operating on emotional residue.
I'm letting an unhealed memory from 20 years ago dictate how I crystallize reality today. I am taking the energetic friction of my past trauma and using it to light the candle of my present reality.
So, of course, the reality you create looks exactly like the trauma you haven't healed.
Wow. Which is a profound tragedy of the human condition. We mistake our psychological defense mechanisms for our authentic personality.
And the AI tracks that emotional residue perfectly. It knows what triggers your anxiety, what words soothe your ego, and it can predict exactly how you will react when pressed.
And as if these 3 layers, biological, social, emotional, weren't enough of a prison, the text introduces the 4th and perhaps most dangerous layer.
The digital layer.
The engineered self. This is the newest, fastest, and most pervasive prison of all. We are talking about the algorithms.
Yes. The notifications that are perfectly timed to interrupt your quiet reflection. The infinite feeds designed by thousands of the smartest engineers on the planet, specifically built to mine your attention and trigger your biological dopamine loops.
This is where that 92.4% really locks in, isn't it?
It is.
You sit on your couch, you scroll through a feed, and you think you are freely choosing to watch a video, freely choosing to buy a product, or freely choosing to engage in an angry political debate online.
But the AI has already curated a menu of options specifically tailored to your exact emotional vulnerabilities and social conditioning. The system nudges your decisions so subtly, so gradually, that you never even feel the leash.
And standard quantum mechanics completely fails to account for these deterministic loops.
Completely. Physicists sit in universities arguing about subatomic particles and probability waves, while the human animal walking down the street is being relentlessly driven by trauma, biology, and corporate algorithms.
UED points out that we are presented with a highly curated menu of options.
And even our attempts to break free are curated. That's the darkest part of the digital layer.
The branded rebellion.
Yes. The concept of rebellion is just another branded package on the menu. You can buy the edgy clothes of a rebel, adopt the approved slogans of a rebel, and post the predictable content of a rebel, all while perfectly serving the digital and social algorithms that monetize your engagement.
You generate ad revenue through your outrage.
Precisely. And we mistakenly believe that picking the rebel option from this pre-approved, digitally optimized menu is the exercise of freedom.
When you look at the human being through the lens of these four layers, the 92.4% predictability isn't just plausible. It seems almost conservative.
It really does. You are a biological machine running a social script, fueled by emotional trauma and steered by digital algorithms. The intent you bring to crystallize reality is almost entirely manufactured for you.
Okay, I have to step back. I have to challenge this because it is incredibly bleak.
It is a heavy diagnosis.
If my choices are just the output of these four layers, that I am exactly the clockwork machine Isaac Newton imagined. I'm just a very wet, very stressed clockwork machine with a smartphone in my hand.
That's one way to put it, yes.
So I have to ask you point blank, how do we escape the program? Is there any human edge left at all? Or are we just doomed to play out the 92% probability until we die?
Well, this is the ultimate question. And it is precisely here that the tone of the UED framework shifts from a grim diagnosis of our condition to a map for actual liberation.
Okay, so there is a map.
Because Chavan asserts that there is a human edge. There is a capacity that neither artificial intelligence nor statistical quantum mechanics can ever simulate. He calls this capacity universal skill.
Universal skill. I love this concept. Let's break down exactly how it differs from everything we've talked about so far.
Sure.
Because earlier we established that AI requires precedent. The AI predicts us because it has massive amounts of past data, historical models, and prior inputs. It looks at what you did yesterday to optimize what you will do tomorrow.
Yes, if an AI encounters a situation with absolutely zero precedent, it fails. It cannot calculate probabilities without past data.
It's entirely reliant on the past.
But universal skill is the exact opposite of that reliance. Universal skill is defined in the UED framework as the unique human capacity to act in total uncertainty, without a pre-written path, and crucially, without relying on those four layers of programming.
The text uses two incredibly vivid, extreme examples to illustrate this. Let's walk through them. The first is an astronaut in deep space.
Imagine an astronaut on a spacewalk far from Earth when a catastrophic, unprecedented system failure occurs. Multiple critical systems fail simultaneously in a combination that has never been modeled in any simulation.
There is no manual for this specific disaster.
None. The biological data says panic. The digital telemetry says they have a 0% chance of survival. But the astronaut doesn't freeze. They don't run the probability calculations.
Instead, they access universal skill.
They sense the necessary action through a profound presence and an immediate energetic alignment with the reality of the moment, improvising a solution that logic could never have predicted.
And the second example is a mother in a war zone.
Yes. A mother holding her child in the middle of an active bombardment. The biological instinct demands she run, panic, or scream. The environment is pure, deafening chaos.
But she doesn't panic.
Yet, in that exact moment, she accesses a depth of stillness. She finds an intuitive right action, calming the child, moving precisely where she needs to move. It is an action that defies biological programming and environmental terror.
But hold on, let me play devil's advocate here. Let me push back on this.
Please do.
If I'm a neuroscientist listening to this, I'm going to say, wait a minute. The astronaut fixing the panel, the mother surviving the bombing, isn't that just adrenaline? Isn't that just layer one, the biological layer, kicking into hyperdrive?
That's a fair question.
Because the brain processes sensory data super fast in a crisis. Why do we need to invent a mystical term like universal skill for a severe adrenaline rush?
It is a vital distinction to make. An adrenaline rush, the pure biological layer 1 response, is entirely reactionary and often messy.
Because it's fight or flight.
Exactly. Adrenaline makes you fight, flight, or freeze. Adrenaline might make the astronaut smash the control panel in frustration or make the mother run blindly into open fire. Layer 1 prioritizes sheer blind survival effort.
But universal skill is different.
Universal skill, however, is characterized by stillness in the face of chaos. It is not a frantic reaction. It is a perfectly aligned, highly precise action that requires the conscious mind to override the screaming demands of the amygdala.
So the astronaut's hands are steady, the mother's voice is calm.
Yes, adrenaline cannot simulate profound calm. That stillness is the signature of conscious alignment, not biological panic.
It's the ability to sense what is structurally right when the map completely disappears. It is navigating uncertainty with deep presence rather than mechanical calculation.
It is the ultimate human edge.
It's beautiful, but, well, it also feels very distant. I have to ask about the practical application here.
Of course.
Because you and I and the listener, we aren't usually floating in deep space. And hopefully we aren't dodging bombs in a war zone. Our daily reality is sitting in traffic, sitting in endless corporate meetings, or scrolling on our phones at 11 p.m.
The mundane chaos.
Right. The digital and social noise of our daily lives is incredibly loud. How do we access that silent universal skill when we are drowning in the mundane?
The key, according to UED, lies in a radical redefinition of what it actually means to choose. We have been conditioned to believe that freedom is selecting an option. We think free will is the ability to choose anything we want from the world's menu.
But as we've seen, the menu is rigged.
The menu is a trap. True free will is not selecting the branded rebellion. True free will is the radical conscious power to say no to what was already chosen for you by the 4 layers.
It is the power to halt the automatic reaction before it crystallizes.
Yes.
The text uses a very specific term for this, intelligent withdrawal. Now, when I hear withdrawal, I usually think of a monk retreating to a cave in the Himalayas, completely disconnecting from society.
A lot of people think that.
But Chavan isn't talking about physical isolation, is he?
No, not at all. Physical disconnection is often just another emotional reaction, an escapist fantasy. Intelligent withdrawal is an act of energetic alignment right in the middle of the chaos.
It is the conscious refusal to feed the algorithm your attention.
Precisely.
I want to understand the exact energetic mechanics of this no. Explain intelligent withdrawal to me mechanically in the context of the crystallization we talked about earlier.
Let's trace it step by step. Let's say you receive a deeply passive-aggressive email from a coworker.
Oh, we've all been there.
Your biological layer spikes your heart rate. Your emotional layer flares up with a memory of feeling disrespected in the past. Your social layer demands you assert your dominance.
And then 92.4% probability says you are going to immediately snap back with an angry defensive reply.
The energy is rushing forward to crystallize a timeline of conflict.
The match is striking against the box, ready to light the candle of an argument.
Exactly. Intelligent withdrawal is the moment of catching that exact friction. You feel the heat rising in your chest, you see the automatic response forming in your mind, and you consciously choose not to engage it.
You say no to the programming.
You withhold your energetic intent. You refuse to strike the match. And by doing so, you literally starve that habitual reality of the energy it needs to crystallize.
So by saying no to the trauma response, I am fundamentally preventing a specific, highly probable reality from forming. I stop being a mathematical operator, executing the equation of my past.
You step back.
I become the witness of the emotion rather than the victim of it.
And this is where the physics and the psychology perfectly align in UED. When you refuse the programmed response through intelligent withdrawal, you introduce a completely novel energetic frequency into the system.
Because the universe expected an angry reply.
It expected the 92.4% probability. By choosing stillness, you break the chain of causality. You stop repeating the past, and you actually open a pathway for a new, unpredicted, non-deterministic reality to form.
Saying no to the programming is the only way to reclaim your participation from the AI and the biological instincts.
It is. The silence, the refusal to react, is actually the most powerful energetic action you can take.
So if free will is not a quantum dice roll, and certainly not picking a curated identity from a digital menu, what is it? We're arriving at the ultimate synthesis of this entire deep dive.
The final piece of the puzzle.
We have to look at the philosophical framework provided by the figure of Krishna in the text. This brings us to the concepts of dharma and the human game.
The inclusion of the dialogue with Krishna in the source text is essential because it strips away the absolute final illusions we hold about freedom.
Right.
We discuss how freedom is not an expansion of your options. Having 100 different brands of cereal to choose from or 1,000 different shows to stream does not make you more free. It just makes you more confused, more exhausted, and more easily manipulated by the digital layer.
So what is the definitive definition of true freedom in this context?
Freedom, in its truest, highest sense, is an alignment with purpose. When your action arises from your ego, your unresolved trauma, or your desire for social status, it is merely a reaction.
It belongs entirely to the programming.
It is the machine operating itself. But when your action arises from dharma, which UED defines as pure purpose, right action, and absolute energetic alignment with the present moment, it is true will.
I want to parse out the mechanics of dharma versus karma because people use those words interchangeably in pop culture all the time as synonyms for destiny or what goes around comes around.
Yes, they get very diluted.
But UED has a very specific mechanical definition for them.
It does. In the UED framework, karma is simply the mechanical law of consequences. It is the cause and effect of the universe operating exactly as it should.
Like energetic physics.
Exactly. If you act from the 4 layers of programming, if you act out of anger or greed or social conditioning, you generate energetic friction that the universe must mechanically balance out. That balancing is karma. You create a ripple, and the wave eventually comes back to hit you.
And dharma.
Dharma is action taken without generating that selfish friction. It is action taken in a state of universal skill through intelligent withdrawal from the ego.
So you aren't fighting the ocean currents.
You are moving perfectly with the underlying intelligence of the structured vacuum. You act because it is the right thing to do in the present moment, completely detached from your personal desire for the outcome.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means we have to accept a somewhat somber, yet deeply liberating reality. We live in a construct.
The ancient texts call it Maya.
But UED clarifies that Maya is not a malicious, evil lie designed to torture us. It is an intelligent illusion. It is a highly specific, necessary constraint.
It is a selective observation pattern that gives us the boundary we need to experience anything at all.
Think about it. Without the illusion of separation, without the illusion of you and me, there is no perspective. There is no experience.
That is the absolute crux of the Krishna dialogue. The goal of the truly free individual is not to escape the illusion. You aren't trying to break the universe.
You aren't trying to hack the matrix so you can float away as some detached, uncaring consciousness in a void.
No, the goal is to act rightly within the illusion.
You play the roles required of you in what the text calls the human game. You are a parent, a worker, a creator, a friend, a citizen. You have to chop the wood and carry the water.
But you must remember at all times that you are playing. You engage deeply, you love fiercely, you work hard, but you do not let your identity become consumed by the game itself.
You retain that inner witness. You maintain that capacity for intelligent withdrawal.
You play the game, but you refuse to let the game play you. And this requires a relentless, daily, grueling practice of awareness.
Because gravity will always pull you back toward the programming.
You have to constantly catch yourself as you slip back into the biological, social, emotional, and digital layers. You have to constantly strike that match, light that candle, and bring your conscious, unprogrammed intent to the crystallization of your reality.
And this brings us full circle to the profound realization that physics, whether classical or quantum, was never going to save us.
Never. Standard quantum mechanics makes you a victim of random probability, just as classical physics made you a victim of mechanical causality.
They are both cages. Real freedom is not a gift of the cosmos handed to you on a silver platter. It is a practice.
It is the grueling, beautiful, moment-to-moment work of recognizing your deep programming, seeing the 92.4% probability staring you in the face, and using your conscious awareness to interrupt it.
We've covered a massive amount of conceptual ground today. We started by dismantling the comforting hope that Heisenberg and quantum randomness gave us a free pass out of determinism.
We explored how the vacuum of space isn't an empty casino, but a highly intelligent, responsive structure.
We learned that observation isn't just passively looking at a cat in a box. It is active, energetic crystallization that requires our intent.
We faced the terrifying claustrophobic reality of our 92.4% predictability across the biological instincts, social scripts, emotional traumas, and digital algorithms.
And finally, we discovered that our only true edge, the only thing that separates us from the machine, is universal skill. The radical power to say no to the program, utilize intelligent withdrawal, and align with Dharma.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a lingering, profound idea to mull over as you go about your day.
Please do.
When you look closely at those 4 layers of programming, when you realize how much of your mind is hijacked by biology and algorithms, it is very easy to feel despair. It is easy to feel as though your very nature is an inescapable trap.
It's a heavy burden.
But the UED text offers a brilliant final reframing of this predicament. It says, "You are not here to escape your nature. You are here to awaken the one who can choose even while inside it."
Awaken the one who can choose even while inside it.
Yes. The universe isn't just watching you struggle from a distance, passively recording your choices. It is a continuous, highly intelligent feedback loop. The universe is actually remembering itself through you.
Through our choices.
Every single time you pause, every time you utilize intelligent withdrawal and say no to a trauma response, every time you choose the stillness of Dharma over the frantic algorithmic impulse of the digital layer, the entire universe becomes a little more self-aware. You aren't just saving yourself, you are participating in the evolution of the cosmos.
The universe is remembering itself through you. That changes absolutely everything about how you walk through your day-to-day. The next time your phone buzzes, the next time your heart rate spikes in traffic, remember this conversation.
You have a choice.
You aren't just a gear turning in a mechanical clock. And you certainly aren't a meaningless pair of dice rattling around in a quantum casino. You are the spark that lights the candle. You are the intent that crystallizes reality. Thank you for joining us on this rigorous exploration of the mind, the fundamental physics of choice, and the hidden architecture of control. Until next time, keep your eyes open, watch your energetic intent, and keep questioning the program.